Hi, this is Randall Schwartz, host of Floss Weekly. This week, Jonathan Bennett joins me. We're going to be talking about LibreOffice, an office suite that's free and powerful. It's been around for a long time. You're not going to want to miss this, so stay tuned.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Floss Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Floss Weekly with Randall Schwartz and Jonathan Bennett. Episode 446, recorded August 16th, 2017. LibreOffice. This episode of Floss Weekly is brought to you by the Amazon EC2 container service from AWS. Deploy Docker apps to the cloud without worrying about installing, updating, operating, or scaling container infrastructure. Learn how developers are deploying scalable apps at ecs.aws today. It's time for Floss Weekly, the show about free, libre, open source software. I am your host, Randall Schwartz, Merlin at Stonehenge.com, bringing you each week the movers, the shakers, the big projects, little projects, projects you may be using every day and not aware of it, projects you may be using every day and actually are aware of it, like today's show is probably going to be about, or projects that you might want to download right after this show, and I bet this is also going to be one of those for some of you out there. Joining me once again is Jonathan Bennett as my co-host. Welcome back, Jonathan.
Hey, Randall, it's good to be here.
Yes, it's good to be in your normal place, looks like. The office is looking really familiar.
Yes, although here in a few months it might change up, but that's another story for another time. Yes, right. I'm here in the flyover state of Oklahoma, the corporate headquarters and the home office.
Right. And I'll probably be flying right over that sometime in the next 2 weekends because I'm going to go to Atlanta from here. That's a pretty much straight shot over the middle of the country there. So, and by here, I mean, I'm actually back home in Beaverton, Oregon. I'm going to be here a little more often than before because I'm trying to cut down my travel costs. I realized how much I'm spending in my Airbnbs at the office. So it's like, okay, I should probably not spend so much and keep more of it for my own pocket. But anyway, so I'm here in Beaverton, enjoying myself, working in restaurants all around here. It's my favorite place to work because there's food there and there's no food here. So that makes it easy. Just go to the restaurant that has Wi-Fi and people bring you food and drinks and everything. It's all kind of nice. That's enough about me, enough about this. But let's talk about today's project. Today's project is none other than LibreOffice. If of all the projects that we talk about, this is probably the one that most people in my audience here, and y'all, are probably already somewhat familiar with. You're probably already using it for building documents, especially if you're a Linux user. You've probably been using this a lot, but it also works on Mac and Windows and everything else too. We have a couple of people who are joining us from the Document Foundation. That would be Torsten Behrens, who's going to be talking to us in a few minutes. And see if I get this right again. I got it right for Italo Vignoli. Okay, that's a nice, good Italian-sounding name. Very nice there. So LibreOffice is basically an office suite. It was originally known as OpenOffice. That was many, many years ago, and Sun sort of managed it and maintained it, and actually I think bought it from StarOffice, I think something like that. But somehow, in fact, that's the reason we bring guests on, is to answer all the questions. I don't exactly know, and so LibreOffice was forked from that and has become the more popular of the OpenOffice clones at this point. In fact, the most popular one, and continues to grow, continues to have more things added to it. It's an office suite in that it has things that are similar to Microsoft Word or Apple calls it Pages. It also, so basically a document producer, a spreadsheet, a presentation software, mathematical software, database access, things like that. What do you know about this so far, Jonathan? Probably a lot more than I do.
Well, I know that lots of times I talk to my customers, I build a computer or they buy a computer and then they say, oh, well, where's Microsoft Office? And I said, well, we can get that for you, but it's, this amount of money, and their eyes get real big and they're like, I don't want to have to pay that much money. And I said, well, there is this open source solution called LibreOffice. We can just go ahead and download that for free. And quite a bit of the time people are willing to give it a try at least. And, I support several people now that uses LibreOffice usually on Windows for their day-to-day stuff. So I am fairly well acquainted with at least the use of it. I am looking forward to hearing more about the history and things going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. And we can definitely have that all covered in a few minutes. But before that, I have a very important message, because this episode of Floss Weekly is brought to you by the Amazon EC2 container service from Amazon Web Services. Developers love Docker containers because they give applications portability and consistency all the way from your laptop to production. But things can get complicated fast when the time comes to deploy, manage, scale, and secure containerized apps to the cloud. Amazon EC2 Container Service makes it easy to run Docker apps in production. Installing, updating, operating, and scaling your infrastructure happens automatically. Using simple API calls, you can launch and stop Docker-enabled applications, query the state of your cluster, and natively integrate with powerful AWS services like security groups, elastic load balancing, EBS volumes, and more. Best of all, you only pay for the AWS compute and storage resources you actually use. With the Amazon EC2 Container Service, you can focus on building apps, not spending time deploying, scaling, and managing your container infrastructure. It's time to get back to what you do best. Learn more about the Amazon EC2 Container Service at ecs.aws today. That's ecs.aws. And we thank them for their support of Floss Weekly. Let's go ahead and bring on our guests. Let's bring on Torsten Behrens first. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Good to be here.
And where are you speaking to us from?
From Hamburg, Germany. Rather cold and wet here, almost like Portland climate these days.
Cool. Okay, and let's also bring on Italo Vignoli. There we go. Oops, I messed it up a little bit. Why don't you say it?
I'm speaking from Italy, northern Italy, just south of Milano. But the climate here is slightly different from Hamburg. We have more than 30 degrees Celsius, so it's rather hot. And we are just over the mid-August festivities. So yesterday we have spent a day with the family eating the impossible, as traditionally we do every year.
Cool. All right, let's start with Torsten. What when I'm reaching for LibreOffice, what's the problem I'm trying to solve?
Yeah, good question. I mean, Jonathan was mentioning this funny files like ODT and ODS. So probably you want to open one of those files, or probably you want to just have a free an open source Office suite that you use for typing your letters or doing your invoicing or your spreadsheet calculation with. So it's almost like a Swiss Army knife. You can, whatever you want to do in an office, perhaps except email and doing the coffee, you can do with that.
And give us a little bit of the history of this project.
Yeah, well, you were starting to do that. I mean, it's quite a long history. It's a pretty old project. First code is from 1990, so it's 27 years old. It shows that a few places the project has been quite busy modernizing that, but it's C++ at the core. It was started small startup here in Germany as a Microsoft competitor, Star Division, so it was called Star Office before, as you said, and then Sun acquired that in I think 1999. And turned it open source. So it then became OpenOffice, and after that, LibreOffice.
Well, I'm sort of surprised. I'm sort of surprised that it's in C++, even when Sun got their hands on it. Like, they didn't rewrite it all in Java.
Yeah, they tried, but didn't quite manage. So yeah, but it's quite hard to rewrite 10 million lines if you still want to ship some software. So that. In the end, that effort was stopped.
And how long have you been involved with the project?
Almost 17 years now. So I started, Sun hired me out of university, and so I started with OpenOffice. It was but lovely at the time, like really large open source project. Lots of things to do. Code base, like really everything there from hardcore graphics, platform abstraction to layout algorithms and math, and so very interesting also technology-wise.
And was it a small team or a large team?
It was comparatively small given the size of the code and how allegedly how large teams were at other competing or comparable projects. So it was always between, I'd say between 20 and 100 developers, depending on how you count. It's always hard to count. So in terms of full-time engineers, probably around 40, 50 people.
Can you give us a little bit of insight as to why Sun would buy a commercial product and then open source it?
So the ties between Sun and or people at Sun and Star Division have been pretty close, and it was the only usable, fully fledged Office suite at that time that was running on Solaris. So I think that was a pretty good reason to acquire that. And I think Andreas from Bechtelsheim, one of the Sun founders, was also one of the investors to Star Division. So there were ties.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Let's give Torsten a bit of a rest. Italo, how did you get involved, and how long ago was that?
So I have a completely different background. So I've been a professional marketer and public relation man for over 30 years, and in around the millennium, I decided that I had to find an alternative to Microsoft Office because I didn't want to use Outlook at all. And so I searched for alternatives, and I stumbled on OpenOffice 1.0 that at the time was a little bit rusty product, but was rather promising. And I remember I started using it. I convinced a couple of colleagues in my company to use it. And they were not so happy, but they started to use it a little bit. So, and when they announced 2.0, I remember I wrote a letter to the marketing guy saying, you have a very good product, but sorry, your marketing sucks. I can probably help you a little bit. And of course, the answer was in tone with my email. So I got my good answer in turn. But then we became friends, and I started to contribute. And when first more in the Italian community, then I started in the global one, and when the community decided to fork and create LibreOffice, I was involved probably from day one as the marketing and communication guy. So I'm the one doing the dirty work with media, journalists, and bombarding them with press releases and emails to inform about LibreOffice. That's my main task, and also I'm trying to grow a little bit our global community because we have a community that spans the globe really. LibreOffice is available in over 100 native languages, so you can imagine how different are users from Taiwan, where I've been recently, to New Zealand or South America, or even North America, of course. They speak different languages, they have different backgrounds and cultures. So I try to facilitate the role of the local communities. Unfortunately, languages are still a barrier, but we try to overcome them in a just making some efforts about that.
Well,
anyway, huge amount of fun. What I can say is being in the community is a huge amount of fun.
Cool. So explain more about. Yeah, we have an actual question from the chat room, and I was about to ask the same thing. Thank you, Emily Lestrange. So what's the difference between LibreOffice and OpenOffice at this point? Why are there still two projects?
So when the fork happened in 2010, at the time, Sun was had been acquired by Oracle. And it was rather clear since day one that Oracle was not going to invest in open source projects other than MySQL, because MySQL, of course, is a database, and Oracle has a database culture and background. So the community decided, we had quite a lot of discussions internally, and at the end we decided that it was probably safer for the product to fork it and create a different software, because we didn't see the future of OpenOffice very bright. So we created LibreOffice in September 2010. We announced the fork at the end of September 2010, and we launched the first version in January 2011. At that time, Oracle was slowly abandoning OpenOffice, but they decided, together with IBM, to give the code to Apache Foundation. And we had, let's say that for 2-3 years, until IBM paid developers were working on OpenOffice code, the two products were evolving, not really on a parallel level, but they were both evolving. Since 2014, when IBM decided that Apache OpenOffice was not doing well enough to justify the investment in money, the Apache OpenOffice has been left with a very small number of developers. So we have, since 2011, LibreOffice had one major release every 6 months on a regular basis. So we are at the 14th, I think, since 2011. While Apache OpenOffice has just had more or less a bug-fixing release every year. So the two products are now rather different. LibreOffice is more advanced, offers more features, and far better compatibility with Microsoft Office file formats. That are a real issue, because Microsoft Office file formats are supposed to be standard, but are not standard. At least they are not implemented as standards. Mm-hmm. So being compatible, it's really a challenge. While LibreOffice format, which is called Open Document Format, and the files are ODT for text, ODS for spreadsheet, ODP for presentations, and other extensions, are a lot easier to write, exchange, and reproduce on different computers, because the standard, which is respected, is a lot more straightforward. Of course, the risk is to go into technical details, which may not be interesting for many listeners. But if they dig a little bit on our website, they will find more on this topic, and they will understand a little bit more about the Open Document Format, which is a very good format targeted to interoperability. So you exchange files without having surprises in opening, saving, or seeing them on different computers.
Wow. Well, that's all the time we have. So. Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway, I love the long answers because it gives me time to think about stuff. So it's great. What I do want to think about, and actually, it's my conclusion I've drawn now is it's great that Oracle has taught us in so many different ways why the choice of a proper open source license is necessary. Because there's, OpenOffice becoming LibreOffice. We just had Jenkins on for the fork of Hudson. And of course, MariaDB from MySQL. I'm surprised that Oracle still hasn't figured out how to kill VirtualBox yet. I don't know how that has survived without them messing with it. I don't think they know they own it. That must be part of it. Apparently, there's been questions in the chat room, and Jonathan was going to ask those. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Sure. So we've got Virgil started us off, and he says, can the install be customized? And I assume he's talking about the Windows install here. Can the install be customized so that the person installing decides what components get installed? So if someone only wants the word processor and not the rest of it, is it possible to just install that one part?
Should I take that one? So yeah, that's possible. I mean, it's not really that you save much, because there's in comparison to Microsoft Office, there's a lot of shared code. So not installing the presentation and the spreadsheet package is not going to save you much, but it's certainly possible. So there's tools like Orca, where you can tweak the MSIs and decide what to install. And there's also parameters you can give, and there's things like group policies you can set there. So yeah, it's certainly possible.
And another of the questions we've got, which I'll kind of use as a launch pad to ask something else, CR1 says, thank you for LibreOffice, but have you, I imagine he's shaking his fist, he says this, but have you fixed the envelope printing problem? Which, what does it look like when there are bugs that people have and we try to fix it? Or if there's a specific envelope printing problem you want to talk about, go ahead with that.
So, yeah, but software has bugs that's, I think, inevitable. So for LibreOffice, there's, I mean, it's open source, so there's 3 ways to fix a bug. So you fix it yourself. You find someone who does it for you, or you pay someone who does it for you. So that's that's how it works for LibreOffice as well.
Does LibreOffice have a paid support model where someone has the ability to submit a bug report and have a developer that's going to work on it because he paid for it?
Yeah, so we have an ecosystem of companies that provide professional support, that you can get long-term support versions from, all that stuff. And if you go to the LibreOffice page, there's a professional support entry in the help menu. So and there you find a list of people and companies who provide that. Beyond that, of course, I mean, it's not that there's no, so usually bugs get fixed. Just that for volunteers, they decide which bug to fix, and it's it's usually not the guy who's yelling and screaming. It's just the first bug that gets fixed.
Squeaky oil, getting the grease and all of that. I did want to ask about one of our favorite things, I say sarcastically, here on Floss Weekly, Java. Is Java required for LibreOffice?
Generally, no. But there's a little but. That's if you want to run Base, which is the database application, and the reporting engine there that requires Java. Everything else, you don't need it.
And is there a game plan, a roadmap to be able to eliminate that last but, or is that something that is just going to be there for the foreseeable future?
Yes, I guess so. At least there's very strong pressure in like Java ecosystem collapsing, or no free binaries anymore. So it's just that so let's say that the number of users really needing that is comparatively low. So let's say from a project perspective, you're always the problem that you have too much to do and too little people resources. So like you focus on different things. And so it's unlikely. And there's also, I mean, there's an extension engine in LibreOffice that you can write BASIC and Python and Java extensions for. And there's quite a chunk of reasonably well-maintained and good Java extensions out there. So there's, even if you eliminate the problem in Base, you still probably have this extension ecosystem that it's still where people need that. And there's good stuff out there like plugins for systems and nice little helpers. Over time, though, I mean, the general strategy for the project is to try and replace Java wherever it's possible with something like, for example, Python, because it's very easy to get a nice Python runtime built into your free software program, and it's not easy at all for Java.
Slowly erasing a few of the fingerprints from Sun and Oracle off of the project. So I wanted to ask, I think this will be more in Italo's wheelhouse, as it were. We've thought of LibreOffice and even OpenOffice before it as being a competitor with Microsoft Office. Something that's come out in the past, really couple of years is the competition from Google Docs. Does LibreOffice have a solution, a way to answer the Google Docs model where you just open up a web browser and get to work on a document or a presentation or whatever it may be you're working on?
Yes, we have announced LibreOffice Online with our two last major announcements, so LibreOffice 5.3 and 5.4. It's still not as mature as Google Docs, but you can already find LibreOffice Online integrated into products such as OnCloud, Nextcloud, PDO, and C-File. They are different cloud solutions. You can run LibreOffice Online as a Docker instance at personal level. And of course, if you are an organization, you can deploy LibreOffice Online. The source code is available on your infrastructure. It's completely different, of course, from commercially different from the proposal of Google and Microsoft in this area, because they provide the infrastructure. So they not only provide the software, but also the storage and all the services related to the software. We, on the contrary, do provide the software. We do not provide the infrastructure and the services for a couple of reasons. First, this is not one of the objectives of the Document Foundation. So we don't want to become a software as a service provider. And the second one, we don't have the bandwidth in terms of money and power of Google and Microsoft, of course. On the other hand, as LibreOffice Online is open source and as such free, you can combine the deployment of LibreOffice on your desktop and LibreOffice Online to get the best of the two environments, which is a distinctive advantage. And of course, people at the moment is used to think about either you have the desktop or you have the cloud, while with LibreOffice, they can have both at the same time. And of course, each one of the two approaches has its own advantages and disadvantages. So I would not say that any one of them is the best answer. It depends from the user and what they want to do with their software and their files.
So, interesting segue. You mentioned the desktop and you mentioned the cloud. Something else that most of us are very interested in is the mobile devices. And something that I have seen for quite some time now is trying to open document files on a mobile phone is just a nightmare. Is there a roadmap, or are there any plans? Is there anything out there now? LibreOffice on Android, or I suppose you could throw iOS or even Windows Phone in there if you wanted to. What does that look like?
There are developments, of course. Also, the LibreOffice Online, the last version, is now compatible with mobile devices. So the behavior on mobile devices is appropriate to the size of the screen, while before the screen was not resizing in the right way. You have of course, you have to connect to a server. But for instance, if you have one of the services I was mentioning before, you will be able to open a document on your mobile. Otherwise, there are projects that are either related to TDF or not, that are developing ODF compatible application for Android. I would say more for Android than for iOS. At the moment, even I think that in the future there will be some more development in the iOS environment.
iOS has its own set of problems when it comes to free software. So the problem with the mobile ecosystem is that that's really cutthroat. I mean, everything's basically free already. So so the distinctive freeness and of open source is perhaps less apparent there as for desktop. So. But right as we speak, there's 2 Google Summer of Code projects sponsored by the nice Google open source program office improving the story for Android. So perhaps for 6.0 there will be, at least the viewer will be much better.
Very good. That's good news. That's good to hear. So one last thing that I wanted to ask about is something we've seen a lot of is the different file formats. The OpenOffice, LibreOffice file format on one side, and then the Microsoft Office file format on the other. And there's always been problems with interoperability between the two. I guess I shouldn't ask you to comment on conspiracy theories, but I'll go ahead and do it. Does Microsoft make this difficult on purpose? Is that something that you guys have seen or suspect?
I answer because I'm Torsten is a nice guy, so it usually doesn't comment about this. It's a nicer guy, younger. You see, it's so. Let's say that if you look into the document, the suspect becomes a certainty that is done on purpose. If you compare a document. A simple document, let's say a couple of page document with basic editing features like one table and a bulleted list. If saved by LibreOffice is in the native format, the XML, because they're both XML based, the XML will be between 200 and 300 lines of XML. The same document, and I'm speaking about new documents, so to avoid the history of the document that comes with you and changes the scenario. So a new document, the same new document created by Microsoft Office 2016 and saved in the native format of Microsoft Office 2016 will be anyway between 11,000 and 14,000 XML lines. So I would say I prefer to say that LibreOffice developers are a bunch of geniuses, and they manage to write in 200 lines what other developers are not able to write in 11,000. So I do not comment on the other way. I prefer to say that, and you see, Torsten is a brilliant guy.
Hey, great stuff. There's one thing I want to bring up because I was actually brought to my attention a little earlier today, is that Apache OpenOffice still exists. It's still slowly being patched and updated. But there's an article I'm looking at here from mid-April of this year that says that there are some serious security vulnerabilities. I forget the CVE number here or whatever. And Apache OpenOffice was supposed to release a patch for that already, but it hasn't been done yet. Does this mean it's actually dangerous to use Apache OpenOffice at this point, and we should all convert to LibreOffice, if not for just this one feature? Well,
you should probably convert to LibreOffice because it's the greater software and has nicer features and is more interoperable and capable. I don't feel like really entitled to comment on that other project and if there's potential security issues. So if there's an article there and it's not patched, then yes, I suppose.
Yeah, it looks pretty straightforward. There's a CVE here. Looking for the listing for it here. Where is it? I know I saw it earlier as I was staring at this article.
The thing is that
something about a Windows WMF filter, heat buffer overflow in the WMF filter, CVE 2017-7870. So apparently they haven't had a release since that bug has been reported, and it's a possible security violation. So definitely, and it sounds like you guys stay on top of all your bug reports and things like that. How often do you release a new release?
Yes, it clearly helps that we have the very regular release schedule, so it's easy to get. I mean, and it's kind of streamlined process. So that was from the very start, from the get-go, that we were trying to have a project that gets into the habit of releasing early and often. And once you enter in that habit, and you just commit the stuff, and then it gets released after at least 4 weeks, 5 weeks later for the next micro update. And if you don't have that sort of thing, if you always do this grand building of software, and that was something like that's back at the Sun days, it was also some habit of building the perfect thing, and it took 2 years. And if you can't release because the code is broken or the builds don't work, then you have a problem.
Definitely. Also, I remember my first exposure, well, not my first exposure, but one of my most significant exposures to OpenOffice back in the day was the notion that more and more governments and NGOs were using Microsoft documents as their way of tracking things and documenting things. And there was some concern there that, that we would start locking up all these documents, proprietary formats. And so part of the advantage of OpenOffice at that point was this creation of this independent format that could be argued that it would be, would be the only thing that certain governments could use. And I remember there being at least 2 or 3 cities or countries that decided, okay, no more Microsoft anything, we have to use OpenOffice. Is that effort still underway? And how successful has it been?
We have, today, there are 5 governments that have switched or are switching, because the process is not easy, from Microsoft Office to Open Document Format. So they are UK, and UK is in the middle of the process. They have settled the guidelines and they are moving. France is in a similar situation. They have provided a reference list of software, and ODF is there. Office OpenXML is not there, so the Microsoft Office formats are not there. The same for Sweden, and a similar situation in the Netherlands, where they recognize both formats, but at the moment they push for Open Document Format. And the last one is Taiwan, and the government of Taiwan is probably at the moment the most committed to Open Document Format. I've recently met the digital minister, and she's really committed into changing the habits of all the government to edit, to have documents that are exchanged in a standard format. Of course, it's not easy. The process takes a lot of time and a lot of education, and you need to educate a lot of people, because everyone has 20 years of background in using Microsoft Office and Microsoft Office formats.
Yeah, I imagine that would be a little bit difficult, but it sounds like it's possible to keep getting more headway on that, which sounds really awesome. Hey, we're almost out of time, and I'm trying to make sure there's so much more I can cover here. We probably need about 3 more shows to cover LibreOffice, because there's just too many things to go on here. What license is under, and was that selected by Sun when they bought Star?
So right now it's a mix. It's mostly MPL, Mozilla Public License, with bits and pieces LGPL v3. The original license was Sizzle. That was a Sun open source license that got later changed to LGPL v2 and then to v3. So right now it's MPL, which is, I think, something that's still copyleft, which is good for the community. That's also the spirit has always been copyleft and sharing what you're doing. But it's something that would work on the Apple ecosystem. So it's kind of striking a sweet spot there, hopefully.
And we actually interviewed, in fact, actually, it's my good friends Simon Phipps and Dan Lynch. It was an all-British show. We interviewed somebody from LibreOffice about 5 years ago. Lots happened since then, obviously, but can you tell me what's still missing? What's coming up in the future in LibreOffice?
So let's say that, of course, there is if you look at the software and look at the users, there is always a lot to go. I think that at the moment we are trying to improve the software in the areas that make the software more difficult or more awkward to use in comparison with what the majority of people is used to. So version number 5 or the family number 5 has focused a lot on the user interface and the user experience. And of course, nothing revolutionary, but we have changed it quite a lot to be more user-friendly and closer to user habits. Of course, the next wave is going to be multiple platforms. So multiple platform integration in a the most transparent way as possible, which is a challenge because this is still. I mean, the differences between the desktop version and the mobile version are still major ones. So having a really transparent experience for the user is not trivial. But I think the next wave of development is going to probably work on this kind of integration by improving interoperability and exchange between different platforms. At least this is my point of view. And of course, then something might be feasible and something might be more difficult to achieve. So and the more difficult will need more time.
And so if I'm used to using an Office suite, like maybe the Google Docs suite or maybe Microsoft's either online or standalone products, what am I going to find missing the most here?
I think that if you look at the number of features or feature-wise, the products are really similar. There might be difference in approaching some features or in the position of some features in the menus. And of course, if you've been using a product for 20 years, you may find more logical to find the page format under File, as in Microsoft Office, than under Format like in LibreOffice. But in my opinion, it's more logical to have a page format under Format than under File. And so it really depends from the habits of the users. I would say that probably the product are feature by feature identical or almost identical for over 95% of the features. And when you are below 5% of the feature, it's really, then it becomes a niche the feature you're looking for, it becomes a niche, and therefore is not mainstream. And as Thorsten was saying before, then it's a judgment on how many users and how many resources you can put on that feature, on the development of that feature, and if it's really worth the effort.
It just been whispered in my ear that LibreOffice has a killer feature for some. It has export as PDF built in. So that's something I didn't know that it had. That was unusual. That's kind of cool. Are you saying something, Thorsten?
Yeah, just to add to that, so it's even better because you can embed the original document inside your PDF. So you even have the original document still there, so that you can edit it and then change things. So, and you don't need to store 2 copies.
Wow. Okay, that does sound like fun. Cool. I'll have to play with this a little bit more. I do know I downloaded the latest release last week because I wanted to get my hands back on it and play with it a little bit. It did have a noticeably different look. So you guys have been working on the UI. Definitely, it's pretty. It looks good. The website looks great. I'm, if I'm a Office Suite user from something else, like Google Docs or stuff, I'll just be able to download this, play with it, or even use the one in the cloud. It sounds like that's something that everybody can at least try. Well, like I said, we're almost out of time. Let's do the one final question for each of you, which is there anything that I've left out? Is there anything you want to make sure our audience is aware of before we have to let you go? And we'll start with Thorsten first.
You caught me a bit unprepared here. So maybe just some upcoming events from. I mean, there's going to be the birthday, 7 years. I mean, 7 years is always great.
Nice.
Great anniversary. And the LibreOffice conference coming up in Rome, Italo organizing that. That's October 11 to 13.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. And Italo, same question.
I think that what I would like people to see and access is our website. They see under my name is libreoffice.org. They will find a big button, download, and go to the download page, download the software, try it. It doesn't cost a dime. For today's hard disks, it doesn't take more than 1 gigabyte of space, which is nothing. So just try it. And cool. For something, you may find it better than others, or if you find another product better than LibreOffice, then we are happy as well. I mean, we don't want to kill anyone. We just want to provide an alternative.
That makes a lot of sense. So 2 final questions, because I got yelled at for not asking this last week. And this will be to each of you. Your favorite scripting language and your favorite programming editor. So we'll start with Thorsten.
So I should probably say Perl, but that would be quite accurate. It used to be, but it's these days it's Python and then C++, because that's what LibreOffice is in, and I'm using Emacs.
Emacs, yay! We got Emacs though. We got an Emacs, yay! All right, fun. All right, long time since anybody said Emacs.
What's a scripting language and was a programming editor? I'm sorry, but I don't write a single.
That's the answer I expected. That's fine. Yeah, that's all good. All right. Well, hey guys, like I said, we're out of time. It's been really great having you guys on. I'm sure a lot more people now are going to be more aware of LibreOffice, or at least it's a good portion of its history and where it's headed, which is also very, very handy. And I know I'll be firing it up a little more often now, just to see if there's things it does that I don't like about Keynote. I use Keynote for all my presentations, but maybe Present will actually be a better way to do that. We'll check it out. So thank you for coming on the show, Thorsten and Italo. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being on the show.
Okay. Thank you for
Thanks so much for having us.
Great. Cool. That was Thorsten Behrens and Italo Vignoli. What do you think there, Jonathan?
I think that was a very fun interview, and we could have gone for another couple of hours.
I know. I love those kinds of interviews.
Yes. Couple of big takeaways. If you're still using OpenOffice, just go ahead and download LibreOffice and uninstall OpenOffice, at least until they finally get a security release out the door.
Yeah.
And the guys we talked to weren't really willing to come out and say that. I'll come out and say it. It's time. It's time to move on from OpenOffice. And unless something radically changes over there on that side, it's pretty much done. And then the other thing is it's really interesting to hear some of the history and some of the backstory about things that we've seen from the outside. And I thought particularly interesting was their comments about the back and forth with the Microsoft Office formats and how some of that has happened throughout the year. Is really interesting to hear some of the backstory behind it.
Cool. Yeah, this is fun having these guys. And we'll have to have them back on in about 5 more years, and we'll probably talk about how it's taken over the AI world, too. There's probably an AI plugin that just writes your document for you. Push a button, and out comes all your document. That'd be pretty cool if they got somebody could build that plugin for me. And save me, like I got a presentation to write that's only like 12 days away, and I'm only about halfway done. I'm like, okay, now I've got to scramble. There's a button that says, write the rest of my Dart presentation. That would be so handy. Okay, anything else before I do the rundown of the guests?
No, I think that's all for me.
Awesome. So next week, actually next Thursday, unlike normally we're normally taping on Wednesdays, we're being bumped on the show. Next Thursday, we've got an update on Kazoo, which is cloud telephony. And Dan Lynch says that, he's been away for a long time, and he was actually on the 2 previous times that we've talked to these people over the 10 years of this show. And so he's just said, I'm pretty sure I can probably make it back. Don't count on me as a regular co-host, but definitely want to be doing this show because I'm doing a lot with cloud telephony. So that'll be great. So he'll be on, it'll be next Thursday, not next Wednesday. So it's going to be 1 day late in the feed, and it's also going to be 1 day late live. Don't show up Wednesday, I won't be here. The Hiawatha web server after that, security-focused web server. Aquameta, which is a web dev environment designed around datafication using Postgres. Friendup.cloud, which is desktop OS in a browser tab, looks pretty fun. And I know I kind of dissed Oracle a few minutes ago, but Oracle actually has an open source project that they want to promote here. It's about Docker image management, the whole supply chain that they use in their stuff. So they're going to come and talk about Oracle open source. Okay. Yes, please. We welcome you. I'm sorry. This is all in fun, I hope. You understand that there are a lot of forks of projects when you took over. So anyway, the CNCF and the Packet Foundation, actually, not Packet Foundation, Packet hosting service, have announced a cooperative offering. If you have an open source project, you can actually get free hosting from them, from Packet, through the CNCF. So we'll have people talking about that coming up real soon. LiveGit 2, which is the embeddable Git core that's in a lot of other products, like GitLab and things like that. Openbenchmarking.org, which is a where you get all your benchmarks, figure out how fast your Linux is, and is it faster to do SUSE or Debian or whatever all the different ones are. I don't know all the names of them. Just added to the schedule. Bedrock, which is a distributed database, and it's distributed, multi-master, failover, all sorts of wonderful things. But the most amazing part of it is it's built on SQLite at the core. That is just remarkable. Expensify created this, and they're open sourcing it, so they want to come on and talk about that. And finally, wrapping up our currently scheduled list is Crail, which is high performance storage and networking. You can find all these and more at the homepage for this show, twit.tv/floss. If you have any other suggestions, please tell the project leader or the community coordinator to email me, merlin@stonehenge.com. My address is there on that page. We do live stream at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, usually Wednesdays, but next week it's Thursday, then back to Wednesdays again. At live.twit.tv, we took a number of questions from the chat room today, which was always fun. I love it when we have a lively chat room. It's chatting back and forth about us. You can follow us on Floss Weekly on Google+. Yes, I'm finally remembering to post to Google+, and at Floss Weekly on Twitter. You can follow me at Randall L. Schwartz on Google+. Excuse me, and at Merlin on Twitter. Next, 2 weeks from now, I'll be at DragonCon, which will be a big conference in Atlanta. About 70,000 attendees are talking about. Man, that's no wonder you can't get any hotel space there for a year. I got a nice Airbnb, though, so it's going to be kind of cool, about 5 blocks away. And I'll be there presenting my Why Dart Should Be Your next programming language. I'll be on the Hacker 101 and Hacker 201 panels and a couple of other panels, so it'll be a lot of fun. There's the Open Source Summit in LA. I think that's the first or second week in September. And then allthingsopen.org. We talked about them last week. We talked to them last week, actually. That's going to be in I think it's October in the Research Triangle. Okay, that's everything I want to plug. What do you want to plug there, Jonathan?
The only interesting thing I have coming up as far as travels go is we're going up to see the eclipse, which not the open source eclipse, but the literal one where the moon goes in front of the sun.
Yes.
So traveling for that, looking forward to that. if anybody wants to hunt me down in Lincoln, Nebraska, I guess that sounds a little creepy, but go ahead and try to find me.
Yes, I've got my glasses already. My mom's coming down the night before from Olympia, and we're going to see how far south we can get at 6 a.m. Day of. If it gets stuck along the freeway, I guess I'm seeing it from there, but hopefully we can get at least a little further down. If we make it as far as Salem, there's plenty of restaurants and everything there that we can just sit at for a couple of hours and buy some stuff so that we're not just like taking up space. But yeah, I'm going to see how far south I can get so I can get right in the center. And if I don't leave my house here, it will be 97%. So I have to get at least 10 miles south of here to have any kind of 100%, even if it's just for a fraction of a second. So I do want to see the sky get dark. That'll be so fun. Oh, well, I'm running over, so we better stop that. Jonathan, thanks once again for jumping in and becoming my co-host for this show, especially with your knowledge of LibreOffice. Appreciate that.
Yep, it was good to be here.
Absolutely. And we'll see you all again next week on Floss Weekly.